Usually, when we think about personal transformation, it looks like like a sports movie montage.
Oh, yeah. Cue the training music.
Exactly right. You decide to change your life, so you wake up at 4 in the morning, you lace up your running shoes, you force down some terrifying green smoothie.
Right, the visible sweat.
Yes, the visible sweat serves as this tangible proof that you're doing the work. But today's source material, it's the single really fascinating internet post inviting a community to join what they call a magic 28-day gratitude transformation. And it proves that the heaviest lifting we do is actually, well, completely invisible.
It really is.
So today we're taking a deep dive into the specific language, the structure, and the psychology of this invitation. We want to figure out why time-bound, shared mental challenges like this one are just so universally appealing to you, the listener, and how they engineer this promise of profound personal change.
Yeah, our mission here is to really look under the hood of this text to understand the mechanisms of that change. Because in just a few short sentences, this person manages to construct a highly compelling environment that, well, it mitigates the natural friction of mental exertion.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at how expectations are set, how the brain handles non-physical discomfort, and the critical role of micro-communities in, sustaining new behaviors.
Okay, let's unpack this. The very first thing the poster does is establish this massive anchor for the expectations of anyone reading it.
Wow.
They don't just say, hey, we're going to practice gratitude for a month. They specifically write, for the next 28 days, I will be doing the daily exercises from the book The Magic. And then, right in parentheses, they add this crucial clarifier. Same author of the book, The Secret.
Yeah, that parenthetical note is doing a tremendous amount of heavy lifting.
Oh, totally.
By invoking the secret, the author is utilizing this psychological shortcut to bypass the reader's initial skepticism. Because, just for context, the secret is what popularized the law of attraction, right?
Right, the whole manifestation thing.
Exactly. It's the pseudoscientific belief that your thoughts directly bring about corresponding positive or negative experiences in your external reality. So by tying this 28-day challenge to that specific lineage, the poster is signaling that this isn't just, a polite exercise in writing thank you notes.
It's way bigger than that.
Yeah, it is a promise of profound mindset shifts and unlocking hidden potential.
It operates exactly like a movie poster.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, like when you see a trailer that flashes from the director of Inception, you immediately know the genre of the experience.
Right, you know what you're getting into.
You are buckling up for a mind-bending thriller, not a romantic comedy. The poster here is telling the audience what genre of transformation they're signing up for. It elevates gratitude from this quaint Hallmark card concept into an active reality-altering tool. I mean, the word magic right there in the title reinforces that we're trying to access something extraordinary.
We can actually look at the mechanism of why setting that magical expectation is so effective. It activates a cognitive phenomenon known as the priming effect.
Okay.
Specifically, it engages the reticular activating system, or the RAS.
RAS, right.
Yeah, so the RAS is this bundle of nerves at our brainstem that filters out unnecessary information so we aren't constantly overwhelmed by stimuli.
Because there's just too much input all the time.
Exactly. So a classic example, if you decide you want to buy a red car, your RAS suddenly makes you notice red cars everywhere.
Yes, you see them at every intersection.
Right. They were always there, but now your brain has tagged them as important. When this poster tells participants to expect magic and manifestation, they are essentially programming the participants' RAS to actively hunt for positive anomalies and serendipitous moments over the next month.
Wow, so they're building a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
If you expect a magical transformation, your brain will literally alter its filtering system to find evidence of that transformation.
Yep, it's actively looking for it.
But what's interesting is the poster immediately pivots from this lofty, magical promise to the very grounded reality of the work involved.
Right. The actual day-to-day.
Yeah, they clarify that each day has a separate exercise, explicitly stating in parentheses that these are, and I quote, not physical exercises. But then they follow that up with a warning.
A pretty stark warning, actually.
Yeah. They say, some daily exercises are challenges and really push you out of your comfort zone. BT are really worth it.
What's fascinating here is the juxtaposition of those two phrases.
How so?
Well, we have deeply ingrained cultural associations with the concept of a comfort zone. Growth is almost always equated with adrenaline, or physical endurance,
Like
right?
the cold plunges and the marathons we talked about.
Exactly. Cold plunges, ultramarathons, public speaking, jumping out of airplanes. But the text actively disrupts that association. It highlights the unseen, often much more daunting labor of mental and emotional exercises.
I want to push past the standard metaphor here, though.
Okay, go for it.
We often say mental muscles, but that implies the mechanics are exactly the same as physical lifting, just in your head. Like when you're running, your legs hurt, but the mechanics are simple.
Mm,
Put one foot in front of the other.
right.
But when an exercise asks you to find genuine gratitude for a deeply painful situation that didn't go your way, or to express profound appreciation for someone you deeply resent, what is actually happening in the brain that makes it feel so agonizing?
Well, you are fighting your brain's core operating system.
Wow.
Yeah, the human brain functions essentially as a highly efficient prediction machine that is optimized for survival, not for happiness.
Not for happiness. That's a little depressing.
I know, right? But from an evolutionary standpoint, the negativity bias is what keeps us alive.
Yeah.
Remembering the location of a predator is far more important than, appreciating a beautiful sunset.
Because the sunset won't eat you.
Exactly. So your baseline cognitive algorithm defaults to scanning for threats, annoyances, and deficits because that is metabolically cheap and efficient.
So gratitude forces a manual override of that algorithm.
Exactly. You have to engage the prefrontal cortex to actively search for the positive, to reframe a negative event, or to dismantle a long-held resentment. And doing that requires significantly more glucose.
Wait, really? It burns literal calories.
That burns literal energy, yes.
Mhm.
When the poster warns that this will push you out of your comfort zone, they are warning you about metabolic fatigue. Sitting silently on your couch trying to rewire a cynical worldview is exhausting.
Because your brain is fighting to return to its low-energy, highly efficient, negative default state.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It wants to take the path of least resistance.
That metabolic fatigue completely explains the timeline then. The invitation specifically outlines a 28-day boundary, but I have to push back on this structural choice just a little bit.
Okay, what's the pushback?
In the self-help world, we constantly hear about the 21-day or 28-day habit formation window.
Right, the classic myth.
Yeah, because modern behavioral science, specifically that FIDRIS study out of University College London, showed it takes an average of 66 days to form a new habit and sometimes up to 8 months.
Yep, 66 to 254 days is the range.
Right. So by promising a transformation in 28 days, isn't the poster just selling an illusion?
Well, it is an illusion from a purely neurological standpoint, sure, but from a behavioral design perspective, it's a highly functional tool.
Really? How so?
Think about it. If you tell an audience, hey, join my 66 to 254-day gratitude challenge to achieve a statistical probability of habit formation,
Nobody is signing up for that.
absolutely no one's going to sign up. The cognitive load of visualizing a commitment that long is just way too high. The 28-day boundary leverages what psychologists call the goal gradient effect.
Oh, the closer you get to a finish line, the harder you are willing to work to cross it.
Yes, exactly. 4 weeks is kind of the sweet spot of human commitment. It's long enough to feel substantial and require real effort.
But short enough that you can see the finish line from the starting block.
Right. It makes the intense metabolic discomfort of overriding your negativity bias feel temporary and purposeful. The brain is willing to spend that extra glucose if it knows there's an expiration date on the effort.
That makes a lot of sense. But let's look at what happens when that effort peaks. Because doing this cognitive override for 28 days alone in your living room leads to severe ego depletion.
Oh, yeah.
You might make it to day 4 before you decide your cynical, low-energy default state is actually a really comfortable place to stay.
Day 4 is usually when the drop-off happens, yeah.
And the poster seems to intuitively understand this attrition rate because the second half of the invitation shifts entirely from the individual to the collective.
Yes. The poster constructs a specialized environment to offset that fatigue. They write, tomorrow I will also share with all of you these daily exercises. And then they say, I'll be posting them only in here if people want to also do the 28 days with me.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Only in here. In an internet landscape where the default behavior is to broadcast everything across as many platforms as possible to maximize your reach, restricting the content to one specific place is a pretty bold move.
It is the architecture of a digital walled garden.
A walled garden. I like that.
Yeah, when you ask people to be vulnerable, to actively fight their own psychological defense mechanisms, they require psychological safety.
Right, they need to feel secure.
And the phrase, only in here, creates an immediate boundary.
Yeah.
It signals to the community that this space is dedicated and protected. You are not performing this vulnerability for the algorithmic feed of the entire internet.
Thank goodness.
Right. You are doing it in a self-selected container of peers.
It creates exclusivity without elitism.
Exactly.
But I want to challenge the core premise of the transformation being offered here. The poster explicitly attributes the life-changing results to the daily exercises found in the book The Magic.
That's the claim, yes.
But looking at the social architecture they've just built, is the promised transformation really coming from the daily prompts in a book? Or is the true catalyst the fact that this group is doing it together, day by day, guided by a passionate peer offering daily support?
Oh, you are identifying the difference between the curriculum and the hidden curriculum.
Okay, break that down for me.
The book provides the curriculum,
Yeah.
the specific prompts and topics. But behavioral science shows us that social accountability and shared experience are the actual engines of behavioral change.
It's the community doing the heavy lifting.
Yes. Anthropologists use the term communitas to describe the intense feeling of social solidarity that emerges when a group of people endure a shared challenge or rite of passage together.
It's the whole we're all in this boat together phenomenon.
Exactly.
If I know that 50 other people are sitting on their couches feeling the exact same awkward metabolic friction of trying to be grateful for a bad day, my likelihood of abandoning the task drops significantly.
Because the friction is no longer a personal failure, it is a shared hurdle. And notice how the poster positions themselves within this communitas.
Yeah, they're right in there with them.
Right. They do not act as a guru on a mountaintop handing down wisdom. They write, I'll be posting them if people want to also do the 28 days with me. They are a participant. They are leading from within the pack.
And that distinction changes the entire power dynamic. If an authority figure gives you an assignment, your natural instinct might be resistance or resentment. It feels like a chore,
Like homework.
Exactly. But if a peer says, hey, I'm about to do this really difficult thing, do you want to endure it with me? It becomes a shared adventure.
Yeah.
The invitation triggers a powerful psychological response of reciprocity, especially when you look at the next line. They say, it's free. I really want to help you all, so I'm looking forward to seeing you all go through this with me.
The emphasis on it being free, combined with the daily labor the poster is committing to, posting the exercises, moderating the group, participating in the work, it creates a profound social contract.
Because they're putting in actual sweat equity.
Right. When someone offers genuine value in their own time with no financial strings attached, participants feel a strong internal drive to honor that effort. You show up because they are showing up for you.
That's so powerful. And there is one more crucial phrase in this invitation that reveals the reality of this work. The poster writes, every time I have done these 28 days, I have been transformed in some way.
Every time.
Yeah, every time implies a cycle. This isn't a one-and-done cure.
No, it communicates that mental fitness functions exactly like physical fitness. You cannot go to the gym for 28 days, achieve a certain baseline of strength, and then assume you will remain fit for the rest of your life without ever lifting another weight.
That would be nice. But yeah, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. The negativity bias of the brain will always slowly reassert itself. By admitting they have done this multiple times, the poster is modeling a maintenance mindset.
Ah, a maintenance mindset.
Yeah, even the leader, the person initiating the challenge, needs to revisit the foundational exercises to achieve a new transformation and fight off cognitive entropy.
It completely removes the pressure of having to be fixed perfectly on the first try. You don't have to achieve permanent enlightenment.
Which is a relief.
Huge relief. You just have to show up for the next 28 days within this protected walled garden and manually override your brain's default settings alongside a group of people doing the exact same thing.
Exactly. It's about the process, not a permanent endpoint.
So let's synthesize what we've pulled from the source material today. We started with a simple invitation to a 28-day gratitude challenge. But by looking closely at the specific language, we uncovered a masterclass in behavioral design.
We really did.
We saw how invoking a recognized brand like the secret programs the brain's reticular activating system to actively hunt for transformation, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy before the work even begins.
And we examined the severe metabolic cost of non-physical challenges. The realization that leaving your comfort zone often means fighting the evolutionary biology of your own brain.
Which is fighting you the whole way.
Yeah, because it prefers the low energy efficiency of cynicism over the high glucose demand of active gratitude. We also saw how the 28-day timeline, while perhaps a neurological myth for permanent habit formation, is an essential behavioral tool to make that metabolic cost feel manageable.
Right. And finally, we broke down the architecture of the digital walled garden. The understanding that you cannot sustain deep, uncomfortable internal work in the middle of a public town square.
It's just too exposed.
You need the psychological safety of a micro-community, the social solidarity of communitas, and a leader who is willing to get in the trenches and do the exact same exercises right alongside you, modeling the reality that mental fitness is a lifelong cycle of maintenance.
So for you, the listener, the takeaway is recognizing the anatomy of an effective personal challenge. Whether you are pursuing mindfulness, gratitude, or any other internal shift, success rarely comes from white-knuckling the process alone in the dark.
Definitely not.
It comes from setting a realistic, visible timeline, anticipating the intense mental friction of overriding your default algorithms, and actively seeking out or building a supportive environment to hold you accountable.
The source text promises that pushing past your mental comfort zone for 28 days is really worth it. We spent this time analyzing how those mental muscles tear down and rebuild without a single drop of sweat, and how the brain fights you every step of the way.
It's hard work, but it's invisible work.
Exactly. So I want to leave you with this final thought. If you had to design your own 28-day non-physical challenge right now, one that specifically targets the cognitive algorithm or mental comfort zone you are most afraid to rewrite, what would day one look like?
That's a great question to sit with.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll catch you next time.